business and politics, Latino style. It's all right here on Latino Motion.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias, and thank you for joining us today. If the name of the show or yours truly seem familiar, it's because we've been airing for 5 years on WMGM TV 40 and look forward to bringing you quality programming on issues important to New Jersey's diverse community. Joining me now for my first guest is Carlos Medina Esquire. So Carlos, I know you're an entrepreneur and you also are the chairman of the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And you do this pretty much on a volunteer basis. Tell me a little bit how you got there. Sure. And about your entrepreneurship that you do now currently.
Sure. Maybe 10 years ago, Dr. Daniel Hara, who is our president for about 23 years for the Chamber, recruited me. I joined the board. And when he became ill 3 years ago, the 9 fellow board members, 10 of us decided to go on a chairman without a president just to save some money, be a leaner organization. So I took that role. We changed the bylaws slightly, so I'm finishing up a 3-year term, and I could do another 3-year term. Then it would be somebody else's opportunity to become chairman if they so desired, just to keep fresh blood constantly in the organization.
Well, I know you brought fresh blood to the Chamber and been very active statewide. At one time, the Chamber was really focused up in North Jersey, but you really have expanded to really truly be a statewide organization. Tell me a little bit about the scope of the organization, what its mission is, and the type of members it has.
Sure. Founded in 1989, we're the voice of the 70,000 Hispanic-owned businesses that call New Jersey home. Those companies contribute $10 billion annually to the state's economy. We're here to represent them where they're being entrenched and to advocate for legislation that's advantageous for them. We're here to be their mentor, to be their coach. Hispanic businesses don't necessarily have the same mature Rolodex that other businesses have. So we feel we're there to be their mentor, their coach, to connect the dots. In that vein, we moving to a Central Jersey grant that we got from the state of New Jersey, an entrepreneurship training grant. So it'll be for businesses in Central Jersey. And we've done events as south as Atlantic City. So we're really trying to be statewide because we did have that reputation that we were more a North Jersey organization.
Tell me a little about your membership. And I know that you had all sorts of members and not just Latino organizations, but many mainstream organizations are also members.
Sure. We have from the mom and pop to the Goya, that's really the gamut of members and sponsors. We have Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield, which just became our official health and wellness sponsor. But again, the members are a lot of restaurants, a lot of professionals, CPAs, attorneys. It's really the full gamut of members. NJBiz just ranked us as the largest chamber in the state of New Jersey. We're at 2,500 members, so we're number 1 right now.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the events. And I know that the Chamber does a lot of events. There's a lot of opportunities to mingle and network. And one of the ones that you recently held was regarding Cuba.
Yes.
And you're giving information in terms of doing business in Cuba. Tell me a little bit about that workshop and what's your personal thoughts about.
Sure. When President Obama amended the regulations impacting business with Cuba, our phone was ringing off the hook. New Jersey is one of the largest Cuban-American populations, and just Hispanic businesses in general having that language advantage, they felt it was almost like the Wild West, an opportunity to do business in a new frontier. However, they were very nervous. What can we and cannot do? So we engaged Marco Gonzalez, who's an attorney who actually I went to law school with, who for 12 years has been doing business with businesses that have been doing business with a few loopholes that there were doing business in Cuba, agriculture and such. So he read through the hundreds and hundreds of pages of regulations. We had a seminar, just what you can and cannot do, the various 12 licenses for when you do travel to Cuba. So it was a successful event. We probably had 100 individuals show up. There was a lot of interest and a lot of questions were answered.
You're seeing a lot of interest in the community, in the business community, and obviously there's also has been an equal amount of opposition to opening up the doors to Cuba, primarily with Cuban Americans.
Yes.
How do your members overall feel?
It's almost generational. A lot of the younger business people aren't as opposed to exploring business in Cuba, but some of the older generation that perhaps were there when Fidel Castro took over, so they feel it more emotionally. So it is more a generation gap. My dad is from Cuba, my mom's from Puerto Rico, so I myself see, and I struggle internally with wanting to help the Cuban entrepreneur, but also respecting the individuals that have a personal trauma perhaps that they went through. But at the end of the day, I think if a Cuban entrepreneur is given the taste of capitalism, I think it's going to lead to democracy. I think it's going to be a good thing when the embargo hasn't necessarily proven to work.
We're going to hear more about that. I'm sure that's not the end, and you're going to have more information as things develop in Cuba. Let's talk a little bit about another event you recently held, which was the 24th Annual Expo and Awards Program. What was that?
Sure. We did it in Paterson, New Jersey. It's a chance to showcase usually 5 to 7 award winners. Some are corporate members that have been good citizens, showing diversity, and some are just young entrepreneurs and business people. So it's a way to showcase them. We package it with a Star Ledger where the insert goes at 300,000 inserts, which is the event program, gets published in one of the Sunday Star Ledger, so we get exposure for the award winners. We have an expo with maybe 100 vendor tables giving out information, giving out product samples, and then we had 2 workshops. So growing your business, exporting, the Business Action Center helped us. The Lieutenant Governor was our keynote. Assemblyman Prieto was one of the award winners. So it was really a diverse group of individuals just celebrating Hispanic business and small business.
The other one that you just recently held was the Hospitality Fiesta, and that was part of the League of Municipalities. Actually, I had an opportunity to attend, as well as the Mayor of Atlantic City welcoming you here to Atlantic City. Tell me a little bit about that event.
Yeah, again, in an attempt to be more geographically sensitive to the entire state, the League of Municipalities, as you know, is one of the largest events that take place for my personal business I attend. So we thought it'd be the right location and the right event because you already had a lot of legislators, a lot of mayors down there. So we probably had 500 people attend, networking, just making connections, trying to show the South Jersey business and particularly Hispanic business community that the Chamber's here. We're here to help. So we picked up a lot of members. We gave away free memberships. We really just want to help individuals. It wasn't really to try to gain paid memberships. We just want to help the South Jersey Hispanic business person.
We want to cover a little more about that appearance here in South Jersey, but let's talk about the other event that you just recently held, which is, actually this was last year, and you're going to have another one upcoming, and that's the procurement fair. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. A lot of our members are trying to do business with either state agencies or with large corporations. So we had the fair just to put them in contact quite often with a diversity representative from a company. So this year's is going to have a little more diversity flavor. It will have a procurement component, but it will be named a diversity event. We may do it at Rutgers University, who has expressed a desire. They have a new vice president of diversity. And just trying to help connect our professionals, our vendors with mainstream companies and agencies.
That's part of the resources that a lot of businesses aren't aware of, that there are some set aside, if you will. There are opportunities as a minority business to do business through these various programs the company offer.
Yeah, and we also had how to become registered and how to certify your company, whether it be minority business, disadvantaged business, small business. So it's important to get the registration to be able to then to bid on work.
And I know, I believe the year before last, you took an active part in the Latino Leadership Summit, Hispanic Leadership Summit that took place at Rowan University. Tell me a little bit about your continued presence in Southern Jersey.
Sure. That Angel Fuentes, Assemblyman Fuentes reached out to me, and we actually signed an MOU with his organization. Again, we offered anybody that was a member of his organization free membership in ours, and just to continue working. We had a meeting recently with him and with Senator Nilsa Cruz Perez and the South Jersey Chamber. So we're planning on launching an event probably in the fall with the two chambers to really drive, represent the Hispanic businesses in South Jersey.
That's critical. Certainly, there's a lot of Latino organizations down here, a lot of Latino businesses that don't have those resources, and certainly that would be a big help.
Sure, sure.
Let's talk a little bit about your overall effort to reach out not just to the Hispanic community, but to the non-Hispanic community in terms of advancing diversity in corporate America.
Sure. Our membership now, I would guess, is 30-40% non-Hispanic, and it's probably the individuals that I give a lot of credit because they're coming out of the events, the networking events, with a lot of deals. But then corporate America is also seeing the value of diversity. There have been many studies that show diversity adds to the bottom line for a corporation. So a diversity of thought, a diversity on your board of directors. If you're trying to sell products to a Hispanic consumer and you have 10 board members and it's 10 white guys, you're not going to do a very good job. So the more diverse your board is, you're going to represent your consumer base, your customer base, your client base, and I think it's a win-win proposition for everybody.
What do you see your role and your organization's role in helping the economic growth of the state?
Continuing to attract and retain business in Jersey. We're actually working on a deal I can't talk too much about yet, but we're trying to bring 40 new jobs to a distressed city in New Jersey using the Grow New Jersey program, which is a great program. They are looking at Pennsylvania. We're really trying to get them to open a 10-acre site in New Jersey.
And what's next for the chamber?
Just continuing to grow, reach out to those 70,000.
Oh, and another thing that's next, we're looking forward to having you on Latino Motion, perhaps doing a segment
That'd be great.
On business on a regular basis. So thank you for joining us once again.
Thanks, Bert.
And we'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Let's get New Jersey working again.
That's a little piece of a clip taken from the New Jersey Republican Committee featuring for the very first time a Latina. And she happens to be here with us today. Let's welcome Assemblywoman Maria Rodriguez-Gregg. Maria, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you for having me.
So I see that you are a rising star within the Republican Party, and for the very first time, a Latina that holds that position. It's been quite some time since we actually had a Latino period that's been on the Republican side in the Assembly. It's a great privilege to have a Latina in that position. And do you feel that with you being in that position, that you've seen more Latinos opening up to the Republican Party, that Latinos don't just belong to one party?
Hopefully so. I think a lot of people don't realize that the Latino community is very diverse. And, it's in New Jersey, lately the representation has been heavily Democratic, but that doesn't mean that there aren't Latino Republicans out there. And having gone around, through the many events to speak to people about just all of the issues that we face in this day and age in New Jersey, I've had the opportunity to meet many people, young women as well, that are Latina, and has said that they seem to align more with the Republican Party. And having seen that face, having seen someone else like them in an elected position, gave them more focus to see that was a possibility for them. And I know in Burlington County, we have so many women that are in representation, and they've always been very diverse, and it's heavily Republican. The representation has been Republican. And I think for me, having seen that growing up, it made it easier to assert myself and run.
You mentioned Burlington Republicans, and you recently addressed them and you mentioned yourself as a Latina very proudly. Let's roll that clip and just see some of the few words that you made in that session.
Sure.
As if my name didn't give it away, I am a female, Latina, and Republican. Woo! Thank you. I am here to tell you tonight that how I think and what I stand for has nothing to do with how I look or where my grandparents came from. When I sit at my kitchen table, I worry about the same thing people across this state are worrying about: paying my bills and making sure that my children have all the opportunities for a better future. And that is why I am a Republican. Because our politics shouldn't be about division. It shouldn't be about a common race or ethnicity. Our politics should be, must be, and here tonight is about common values.
Well, that big gel shows your pride as a Latina, doesn't it?
Yes.
And certainly the same token you make reference that where your grandparents are from should matter. Tell me a little bit about what you meant there.
Well, when I was talking, it was in Atlantic City, and it was for a statewide Republican conference. And basically, the idea was to really talk to Republicans about how to do or approach minority outreach. And a lot of the time, they talk about what they deem to be minority issues. And realistically, we all face the same issues. Right now, the Hispanic community and every community in New Jersey are facing issues of student debt, high taxes, maybe they're not in a job that pays them well enough, or, they're out of work. And it was really about talking to everyone. When you create a message of outreach, you really should focus on all the issues that we care about. And I think it was Bill Clinton with It's the Economy, Stupid. And that's certainly a message that resonates with everyone.
But certainly your grandparents, I'm sorry, where are they from?
Puerto Rico.
And I know your mom was in the military as well?
Yes.
So, growing up and going into politics, I'm sure that you had to overcome some hurdles. Tell me a little bit about the hurdles you had to overcome.
Well, in Burlington County, we have a lot of women in representation, and it's always been very diverse as far as Republicans are concerned. So we've had former Assemblyman Jose Sosa, and he was a Republican, and I remember seeing him. And so for me, having seen so many people that were in representation made it easier for me to get into politics. There were some hurdles, and I would say for the most part, although the response was very wonderful, some of the issues were in, is she qualified, or is she just being put there because she's Latina? And so I really had to work hard to knock on every door and tell people my story and let them know that I am qualified and what I bring.
Well, obviously, your message must have resonated because you did get elected,
I did.
and as the first Latina ever in New Jersey to be Republican.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the issues that are going on in Trenton, particularly debated is the transportation fund and funding for that important infrastructure work that needs to take place. Do you think that the Assembly is eventually going to pass a budget or come to a resolution on that?
I do. In spite of the rhetoric that you hear out there, I do believe that they are going to come to some sort of resolution. I know that all parties concerned, both parties, have been really working hard to come up with ideas to really address the possible insolvency of the TTF. So I had an opportunity to sit in on the Transportation Trust Fund hearings several times to substitute other legislators, and I really do feel optimistic that a solution will eventually come about. I think that everybody understands that this is important and we have to deal with it soon.
Now tell me about the committees that you serve on.
I'm on Assembly Financial Institutions and Insurance, and then Housing and Community Development.
So you got your hands full.
I do.
And certainly there's a lot of issues that you got to deal with. Tell me a little bit about what do you think is the key to turning the economy around for New Jersey? That's a loaded question, isn't it?
It's, do you have time? I had the opportunity to have a business roundtable, and it was an economic roundtable in Trenton last year. And, I hear a lot from the people of New Jersey, and I haven't had that much time to engage with them. So that was a great time. And a lot of the issues that they're facing when it comes to job creation there are a lot of taxes and a lot of barriers. As one person said, it was death by 1,000 cuts. And the costs to operate in New Jersey are also extremely high. So I think we have to find solutions that are more geared, and I don't want to just say incentivizing, but we have to really address the cost of operating in New Jersey. We can't, as soon as there's an issue that we need to fund, immediately tax the business community because they want to invest in their employees as well and create jobs.
I know part of your passion has been on some regulatory reforms. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing in that front.
Well, right now we put out a piece of legislation that deals with streamlining the permitting process. As of right now, after 90 days with the Department of Environmental Protection, it's easy to, I wouldn't say easy, but the process prolongs getting a permit for businesses. And it's really trying to mirror what Massachusetts accomplished with their regulatory reforms, streamline the process while balancing, the importance of protecting the environment. And so they've been able to attract a lot of business and because of those reforms.
Another issue that you also keeping your hands on is Atlantic City and what's going on in Atlantic City. I know the state is actively involved. What are your thoughts?
Well, I only have one town in Atlantic County, and that's Hamilton. And I went to recently the Atlantic County GOP convention, but then also I've been to Atlantic City a couple times prior to that and really had an opportunity to talk with many different people from different parties regarding some of the issues in Atlantic City. It's certainly a very big issue. I think that Atlantic City has a lot of great opportunities to flourish.
It certainly has a big impact across the state,
It has a very big
including Burlington.
It does. Right now, my concern is that whatever legislation is put through doesn't result in higher property taxes for the surrounding communities. So that's been a focus right now in working with any of the parties involved in dealing with any reforms to Atlantic City.
So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about some fun stuff about you. Sure. And I understand that you go by the nickname Honeybee. Tell me about what that's about.
I play roller derby. I've been playing roller derby for about 6 years now, and I play with Penn Jersey Roller Derby League as part of the She Devils travel team, and I was also recently placed on the Pennsylvania All-Star team. It's a lot of fun. It's a diverse community. You can get out aggression. Trenton gives me a lot of aggression right now, and it's just a great workout.
It's a good release. And
it's a great release.
You're finding a way to
They're
have
involved
fun.
in the community. It's just fun.
And you're also a mom. You have two children as well?
2 children. I do. So it's one of the reasons why I got into elected office. I really want to at least do something that affects some good change to make New Jersey better for them.
Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
on
you for
Latino
having
Motion.
me.
I'm looking forward to having you back in another time.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us at home once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.